Hello, and welcome to a bonus episode of Ice is Slippery, an unserious podcast about hockey brought to you by 1.5 hockey fans. My name is Kate, and I'm the hockey fan.
And my name is Fred. I'm half a hockey fan.
Hello, Fred. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, thanks, because we're going to talk about Heated Rivalry today.
That's exciting for you, isn't it?
It is exciting for me. I have been wanting to talk about it. I've been talking about it. Let's be real.
True.
It's been a conversation that I've been having, mostly to myself.
Yeah, regardless of anyone conversing back.
Exactly. And that's fine. That's normal. I think that you know, I'm a great conversationalist and it doesn't matter if anyone else is involved.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So in case you haven't listened to the podcast before, which is entirely likely.
Yes, it's very likely.
It's very, very likely. I just wanted to give you a quick background. Fred and I are married. We've been together 21 years. We're very old. And we have a hockey podcast. Like I said, I'm the hockey fan. He mostly just watches hockey because otherwise he gets lonely during hockey season. But he's getting into it, I think. I've Stockholm syndromed him into it pretty much. I mean,
I know some stuff at this point, unfortunately.
You do. You're getting way better at it. It's great. So, and now I guess I've Stockholm syndromed you into watching a hockey romance show. Yeah.
It seemed like our duty. And I know you've been reading hockey romance novels for as long as I can remember, which is not very long.
Well, yeah, your memory is not super great.
It's not great. True. But yeah.
You know, there's kind of a, I guess, hockey romance novel to hockey pipeline where people read hockey romance novels and are like, oh, let me check out hockey. I'm the opposite. I got into hockey first. And then when hockey season isn't on, I'm like, oh no, I miss hockey. And then I will pick up some novels periodically. And about 4 years ago, I read the whole Game Changer series, which is what Heated Rivalry is from.
Oh, okay.
So it's a series of books written by Rachel Reed.
I definitely knew that.
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
I definitely knew it wasn't called Heated Rivalry.
Well, there is a book called Heated Rivalry in the series.
Perfect.
Yes. See, we have had this conversation, by the way. He is not kidding when he says he doesn't remember stuff.
Yep.
Anyway, I read the series about 4 years ago, actually really enjoyed it. And when I found out they were making a show, I was like, hell yes. Did not expect you to watch it. Didn't ask you to watch it. But it turns out that it's everywhere. Like the algorithm hits you hard.
It seems like you can't avoid it in current media. And especially since like my media is kind of directed towards hockey at times, since the algorithm knows that hockey is happening in this household. So yeah, I couldn't not be aware of how excited everybody is about this.
Absolutely. And even, you know, some of the mainstream like hockey media podcasts are covering it, like What Chaos. I've actually been really enjoying their coverage of it. So as a very sort of niche entertainment-y hockey podcast, it just felt right for us to talk about it.
Yeah. So this is a departure.
It is a departure.
I don't know how I'm going to be able to do this because I can barely do the hockey podcast.
I mean, you do okay. You're trying your best, and I appreciate that about you.
That's what you're going to get out of me today.
You're just trying your best, and that's okay. So, yeah, I think what we'll do is we'll just kind of chat about the books, and I'll be talking about it as the perspective of somebody who's read the books. You'll be talking about it as the perspective of somebody who barely knows how to read.
Right.
And that's fine.
And I barely watch television.
That's true.
Like scripted television's not in my wheelhouse.
You did stay up all night watching a cozy anime the other night.
Well, I mean, that shit was just too cozy to ignore.
It was very cozy. It's true. But yes, you're not much of a media person at all.
No.
So, and then you had to marry me, the most chronically online person in the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as I said, there are 6 books in the series, and this show ostensibly centers around one book, Heated Rivalry, which takes place over a 10-year time span. And then it also incorporates elements of Game Changer, which is the first book in the series. And then there is a second book in the series called The Long Game that's also about Shane and Ilya, but that apparently does not factor into the television series at all.
Okay.
So I'm just placing you in sort of trying to help you orient in space and time here a little bit.
Sure. Okay, that is helpful.
All right, good. I'm glad. So it's complicated to talk about the show a little bit because it's based on a book series, and obviously things happen in the book. And so you can't really necessarily always separate out the book and the TV show. So if you have not read the books, there will probably be some spoilers in here. I haven't read the books in 4 years. I'm not like super up to date on them. So a lot of what I remember will be very half-assed. So it won't be like super hardcore spoilers, but yeah, if you're like, I'm going to read the books later and I don't want to know anything, save this for later.
Turn it off right now.
But come back to us later because we like you. It's also kind of hard because that means the audience is looking at this show in different ways. There are people who are watching the show as readers, and there are people who are watching the show as non-readers, and they're having very different experiences with it as a result.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense. There's the whole contingent, like, oh, the book was better. Like that's the trope, right, with movies or whatever.
That is definitely a thing. I do think overall book readers are generally pretty happy with the adaptation.
Nice.
And I know I certainly am. There were certain moments where I was like, okay, yes, they know what they're doing. I'm happy with this. Let's go. There are moments where people on either side are dissatisfied. I think the biggest problem comes out of the timeline because the book Heated Rivalry takes place over the time span of 10 years. This series is 6 episodes long. 10 years is a long time to cram into 6 episodes. And it feels a little rushed sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that, right? I had at least some knowledge of that prior to going into it because you had watched it before you watched it with me.
Yes, I couldn't wait.
So, well, yeah, no, absolutely. And I wasn't even really planning on watching it, but at least I knew like that conceit of it. And yeah, of course, over 6 episodes, right? Like they're going to have to cram some stuff in. And they did that time jumpy thing that you warned me about because you knew that would hurt my head. And it did hurt my head. But you kind of were like my guide along the way, at least. So
yes, you did have a cheat sheet. So I was your Cliff's Notes or what have you,
right,
to help you through that. And I think it's hard too because some people are not seeing maybe the character evolution along the way because the actors don't really age in the episodes. But already the show has gone through about 5 years in the first 2 episodes.
Yeah.
So, which you might not even realize.
I mean, I don't, honestly.
I know. I don't expect you to.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Yeah, I didn't really care. It didn't bother me. I just knew that time had elapsed. So.
Yeah, time elapses. It's kind of a thing that time does.
And I wouldn't expect the actors to age because like they shot it like recently.
Yes. Well, and it's not like the highest budget production of all time. There's not a lot that they can do.
Right.
Per se. So yeah. So some people who haven't read the books are frustrated by the pacing of the show. Some readers are frustrated by that reaction because since they read the books, they have more context for why those time jumps are important. So when they hear people complaining about it, they're like, no, but there's a reason.
Right.
So kind of where I come down to it is that we're all going to have our own individual viewing experience and people aren't wrong for feeling a certain type of way. You know, the show is the show. Like you have to be able to judge the show on its own constraints. But,
right.
But at the same time, readers are going to have a different experience and that's also fine.
Yeah. And I think going into it knowing that, well, I mean, people aren't even going to know that either, are they?
I mean, I think people pretty much know that it is based on books.
Okay.
So the marketing really does get into that. So, but yeah, it's a lot. It's complicated and that's fine.
So there's different camps of viewership.
There are different camps of viewership. Even the reading camps are split. Like the 3rd episode takes a departure from the characters covered in the first 2 episodes. And we'll talk more about that later. But some people are divided about that. Some people feel very strongly that the show should have just been Ilya and Shane and not gotten into the other book characters because they don't want to lose any of that Ilya and Shane storyline.
Oh, okay.
Other people believe it's really important to talk about the Kip and Scott storyline because they know it's important in the overall scope of the universe. So, you know, people aren't a monolith. They're all going to have different feelings about it. And no matter how you feel about it, then you also have to talk about how the show executes it.
Right.
So I think all we can do is kind of get into the episodes and see how we both reacted to them.
Yeah, that's all I can do. That's a lot of complexity for me and like the critical analysis of the reception of the television show. Like that's way deeper than I ever go with anything.
That's true. I'm also a writer, so I'm a little thinky about things at times. So
yeah. I know that layers exist, but
it's true.
But I'm not interested in them anymore in my life.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'll try to keep it, you know, somewhat simple for you. How does that sound?
Well, I mean, you have to.
It's true. I'm used to dumbing it down for you. No offense. I'm not trying to be a jerk. That's just our banter. Okay. Well, let's go into episode 1, which is titled Rookies. So in this episode, we meet Shane Hollander and Ilya Rozanov, who are the main characters of the book / show. And they're young hockey players. They're on the verge of entering the draft. They're widely considered to be the 2 top prospects in the world. Ilya is from Russia. Shane is Canadian. And we get some sort of glimpses into their personal lives over the course of the show. Shane grew up in Ottawa. His mom is Japanese Canadian and a super intense hockey fan who also manages his brand deals. His dad is kind of a cheerful dork. They're pretty supportive and doting on Shane. Ilya has a dickhead brother who only calls when he wants money, which he uses for drugs. Ilya also has a dickhead father who constantly talks about how Ilya is bad and lazy and is letting down his country. So pretty different experiences for the 2 of them. They both, I think, have a lot of pressure. I think Shane's is more internal than anything else, and Ilya's feels a lot more external. Shane and Ilya first meet in December of 2008 at what the show calls the International Prospect Cup, which we all know is actually just World Juniors. And Shane introduces himself to his competition like a nice little Canadian boy. And Ilya is standoffish at first, so it's a little awkward. But by the end, they get sort of competitive and bantery. And so that's really, I like how the show just drops us right in. It's like Ilya standing outside smoking. Shane's all like, hello, I'm Shane. I'm a cute little puppy dog.
He does have that energy, doesn't he?
He really does.
Yeah.
And then I think he doesn't know what to do when he's like, hi, I'm Shane. And Ilya's like, okay.
Right. Are they aware of each other at this point?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Gotcha. Yeah.
They are very much aware of each other. I think it's implied in the show, but it's very explicit in the books. They both are very aware of each other because they are each other's biggest competition in the sense that the draft is coming up and one of them is going to be number 1 in the draft.
Right. Right. So they're like just not like, oh, this is a good number 1, this is a good number 2. They're like the phenoms of the generation or something.
Yes. You've only really been following, you don't even really follow the draft that closely, but you have kind of watched it with me the last few years. In the last few years, there's been a very clear number 1 draft pick. But in years past, it's been very tightly contested about who's going to be the number 1 draft pick in any given year.
Right.
So this is one of those situations where it could be either one. So, and that's the kind of things that rivalries are really made out of.
Yeah.
And in the books, at least, even before they meet, the media has already turned it into this big thing. And that is a recurring motif through the show. You see the media talking it up, how much, oh, they're rivals, oh, they're this, oh, they're that.
Right. Yeah.
You kind of get that in the voiceover of this tournament, that Shane is not very sociable. He has a high hockey IQ. He's very smart and dedicated. And then Ilya is strong on the puck. He's a strong skater and he's great at getting under people's skin. He's the kind of guy you love to have on your team and you hate him if he's on the other team. So 2, very different kinds of hockey players. And that's kind of all told through sort of the voiceover of the hockey announcers at the tournament.
Right. Which is something like hockey media does just naturally. And like if it's served up to them on a platter, they're going to lean into it.
Absolutely. Especially like if it's a national broadcast. Like if you watch an ESPN broadcast of a game, they're going to pick 1 or 2 points and they're just going to hammer them home repeatedly.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. That's just showbiz, man. Like that's just how it goes.
Yep.
So because it's easy. It's easy to tell the easy story. And that's what the media has. But it's just a lot more complicated under the surface.
It seemed like to me, they were able to capture that was mostly in the media and not necessarily like their actual situation. It seemed like everybody just wanted that. The media was, broadcasting that story, but really themselves, I didn't get that much of like, ooh, I hate you.
Exactly. In the book, it's interesting because the chapters are told from alternating points of view. So one chapter will be told through Ilya's perspective and the next will be told through Shane's perspective. So you get a lot of their interior thoughts and monologues and you know more about where they're coming from. You sort of get their personal experiences. So you have all of this perspective on them. I think coming into the show, it's kind of interesting. So because you don't get that, in a way, you see Ilya the way that Shane sees him and you see Shane the way that Ilya sees him.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
Right. So the people like me who have read the books going in, we know all of this interior stuff that's going on. You don't have that experience. You are kind of getting the perspective of Ilya that's mostly Shane's perspective of him, really.
Right.
Shane, a little bit the media, and then also the way that Ilya perceives Shane. So that's the thing is in the books, because we see all of the things as the reader, but Ilya and Shane only see what they let each other see. And so there's a reason it takes them a long ass time to get their shit together, because they're both pretty guarded in their own ways, and they hide things from each other. They don't communicate well, and they're young and they're hockey players.
Young hockey players.
They're young hockey players. It's not like they're like emotionally in touch with themselves, much less each other.
Right.
So yeah, I think that is represented pretty well in the show, honestly.
Yeah, I would agree. And I would also say, like, even though that's not like present or like announced in the show, I do feel like the actors are doing a good job of acting.
Yes.
And conveying that there's stuff behind the scenes.
They're both, I think, excellent actors, and you can tell there are things going on beneath the surface. I think it's more evident at first glance with Connor Story, who plays Ilya.
Yeah, I would agree.
He just is sort of almost an open book of emotions where there's just like seething, boiling waters under there. You're just like, oh, that guy's in turmoil.
Right.
Shane's like a placid lake. Like he's very sort of smooth on the surface. And you just kind of think, oh, he's fine. There's nothing going on there. And that's kind of how Ilya sees him too. But really, he's got all kinds of stuff going on, and you really don't see it. And that's because he buries a lot of it.
Yeah.
So far that even he can't feel it. He's like, oh, feelings, no, thank you. Don't like those.
Yeah. From like partway through the first episode, I was of the impression that Shane didn't have much going on behind the eyes and was kind of a flat character and maybe not that great. But as it progressed, I was like, oh no, he's doing a thing, like the actor himself. Like it's actually coming across somehow. I don't know how actors act, but he's doing that thing.
I think it probably helps when I started showing you some clips of the actors off of, when they're not in character.
Right.
And you could see how unhinged Hudson Williams is, the guy who plays Shane.
He seems like he's maybe a handful. I mean, a lot of actors are a handful. I've hung around with actors from time to time, and they're a lot. But yeah, you can tell he's not at all like that character.
He is the complete opposite of Shane. Everybody's kind of thinking that the Ilya actor is going to be the one who's all wild and crazy, but Hudson Williams is going around saying spit in my mouth. So yeah. That's not what you expect. So
you don't.
I think once you see that and then you watch it again, you're like, oh, there's a lot going on with Shane that is very different here. Like,
yeah.
These are choices. This is not like limited acting. Like these are very specific choices that are going on.
Yeah, it's very deliberate.
Yeah.
Which I was able to get from his acting performance as I watched more and more.
Going back to World Juniors for a second, I thought one thing that was really interesting in the voiceover. So Russia wins. Ilya's the captain of the Russian team. They beat the Canadian team, which is captained by Shane. The voiceover from the announcers say that the Canadian team is described as a young Canadian team that is still searching for an identity, which feels very much like a metaphor for Shane.
Oh, wow. Yeah, of course. That's pretty like blatant, isn't it?
Yeah. They also make the point that Ilya is great at getting past the defense of Canada, which also feels a bit like a metaphor too.
Yeah, that's funny because those aren't like teams that would be like a team in the league after. That's just a conglomeration of everybody. Right.
It's just, I just thought, I didn't even pick up on that till probably the fourth or fifth viewing.
Yeah, the fourth or fifth viewing. Yeah.
Listen, I'm a podcaster. I'm doing research for my craft.
You're hooked.
Don't make fun of me. Anyway, in the handshake line, Ilya tells Shane that he'll see him at the draft, and he kind of seems a little like he's rubbing it in, and Shane is not super impressed by it. And that's where we get our first time jump, and we move to the draft. We're actually dropped in the aftermath of the draft, where Ilya has just been drafted in the first position and Shane has been drafted in the number 2 spot. The photographer is like, smile everybody, because Shane is not smiling because he is internally seething that he did not go number 1, because that's not how it was supposed to go. Ilya is beaming because he is super psyched because this is exactly how it was supposed to go. And then you kind of see them talking to their respective teams and dealing with their own issues, particularly Ilya's father, again, being a dickhead.
Right.
And do you see them exchanging some glances at one another? Also, I should say back at World Juniors, there's a lot of them staring at each other. You see that a lot throughout the series.
They certainly are intrigued by each other.
There's a lot of looking at each other. And I think that that's just really kind of, there's not a lot of opportunities for them to communicate So that's kind of how you have to convey that visually, is like, oh, they're into each other. Just have them stare at each other a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
But it helps that the actors have such great chemistry where you're like, okay, yeah, they're looking. They like what they see.
Yeah,
you know,
they totally do. I feel like Ilya is a great looker.
People are like A+ yearner right there.
Yearner, yeah. No, you get it. There's something in his eyes. I don't know.
No, for sure. I'm just like, why don't you yearn at me like that anymore?
I don't know that I ever did. I don't know if I can.
I don't think you did. And actually, I would have found that really awkward.
I feel like I would have been real weird trying to do that in my life.
Yeah, I would have felt very put off by that.
Yeah.
So actually, I'm glad that you didn't do that. Romance novels are not the same as real life people. So Shane's not happy. Later on in his hotel room, he can't sleep. He decides he's going to go to the gym and have a little workout to try and, I guess, burn off some of his resentment. And he's in there riding his exercise bike. And guess who should stroll in but Ilya Rozanov himself, who, despite, I think, there being multiple exercise bikes, sits right by him. And they start competitively riding next to each other.
Yeah.
And this was definitely in the book something that I think they conveyed pretty well on the screen. But in the book, Shane's already riding and then Ilya comes in and starts going faster. And then so Shane starts upping his speed because he can't let this guy go faster than him. And then Ilya ups his speed and then it just keeps going and going because they're just competitive assholes.
I mean, hockey players, right?
That's exactly what it is. And I think that's such a great detail to really have.
I think that was conveyed okay. I sort of got it, but I think they could have handled it more clearly. But I was like, no, I think they're kind of in a competitive thing here. There was a lot of heavy breathing for sure.
I might have liked to see them like sort of pushing the buttons up on the machines, like the face of the machines, rather than focusing on the feet so much.
Yeah.
But I still got it, I thought.
I mean, I did without knowing that was what was going on. So
there you go. So then we see the aftermath of the exercise. They're on the floor. They're super sweaty. This is the part where I was like, okay, they know what they're doing with these books. And I showed you a clip earlier today where it's that scene and it's kind of a split screen and they have the passages from the book that goes along with it, just so you could see how well the sort of writing matches up with the scene.
Yeah, no, it was kind of like dead on.
It really was, wasn't it?
And I'll say too, the descriptions in the writing, like when, I don't know if it said smirked or smiled, like when you see like Ilya do that smirk or smile, like the way he does it isn't what I would have imagined in my head. Like it's so much better and so different. So
yeah, no, the changes there are perfect. But the spirit of it is still very much there. That scene, which I don't think really is necessarily communicated, that scene is very much Shane's gay awakening.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah, that is really, I think, the scene in the book where Shane is like, oh shit, like that guy's hot. I don't think that about guys usually. At least that's how I remember it.
Yeah, no.
It's been a couple of years.
That did not come across to me. I just figured that he was probably into dudes and they were just like feeling each other out.
Yeah, no. Ilya, I think, was definitely feeling him, but
yeah.
Shane was like, I'm kind of like obsessed with this guy, but I just thought it was a competitive thing. But there's like a very subtle drop of the camera where you kind of just shows Shane is looking down at his crotch and you're like, oh, okay, that's happening.
The crotch was on display for sure.
It absolutely was.
They nailed the camera angle.
They did, where you're just like, oh, okay, that's happening.
Yeah.
And they, swap the water bottle back and forth and fingers are brushing and it feels like a very charged moment.
Yeah, it was, I mean, they're all sweaty. They're huffing and puffing, the finger brushing, the looks, the whole thing. Like, yeah, very charged is a good way to put it.
Yeah. And they do have a few things that are added. I think one of the things that the internet went absolutely feral over is Shane stops drinking and then Ilya kind of mouths more at him to get him to drink more water. And everybody thought that was super hot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Ilya's little wink is just great. And
I did not notice the wink on first viewing, but when you showed me that clip and I saw the wink, I was like, oh man, how did I miss that?
a lot of people didn't catch it at first. So,
interesting. Yeah.
It wasn't just you, but yeah, really saucy and cute. And yeah, I think that is definitely a moment where it's a big turning point for Shane. I believe in the book, he goes back to the hotel room and jerks off afterwards. And I was like, what the fuck?
Wow. Yeah. And this is like fast within the context of the show, right? Like we haven't been watching it that long and we're already at this scene.
Oh yeah, no, we're like maybe, I don't know, 7 or 8 minutes in.
Yeah.
Like we are deeper into the podcast than we are into the show at this point.
Yep.
It's a lot. So, and then the hits just keep coming, because then we're going to fast forward 6 more months. We're back to where we began at the tournament that's definitely not World Juniors. It's definitely called something else. This time, Team Canada wins, and we get to see Ilya as sort of the person who lost this time. And this time he's pretty disappointed. So you get to see where it's not just Ilya's the best all the time. There is going to be this back and forth with the two of them. So even though it's not necessarily that they're competitive with each other, like neither of them likes to lose either. So it's just a very strange dichotomy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a hockey player thing for sure, or a sports person thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, so now Canada's found its identity, right? And more or less. I don't know. No,
that's a really good point. Canada and Shane have maybe started to discover their identity as...
Right, because this is 6 months later.
This is 6 months later.
So he's definitely probably explored some of those feelings in the meantime. It's not like he just... Well, I don't know. He could have just walled up and not done anything. But like, there's certainly been a turning point for him.
The feelings have at least been revealed to him.
Right.
So there is that. So the next time they encounter each other is several months later at a commercial shoot for hockey equipment. And they're supposed to be facing each other, doing like a face-off, and it's supposed to be all intense and heated. And they just end up giggling. And I really like that moment because it just kind of shows that they're young guys. Like they're just...
Yeah, for sure.
Just kind of kids just doing this thing and being expected to be super serious and be competitive with each other. And it's just kind of a goofy situation.
I think this was the scene where I started to like enjoy the actors or like settled into it. I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. I get it. Like there's more going on here, maybe.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is the scene where a lot of people started to really enjoy the show, because after they shot this, they went to the showers.
Oh, yes. The shower scene.
The shower scene. The infamous shower scene. And yes, congratulations to the actors. They look fantastic. Good for them.
They do. And yeah, it's a little weird to shower after commercial shoot, I guess.
I think they got really sweaty during the commercial shoot. So that's probably what it was.
I guess so.
Yeah. So that's, sure. Why not?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll allow it.
Yep. Plausible deniability.
Absolutely.
We did find out before they get into the showers that this joint photo shoot was actually Ilya's idea. So that I think is interesting to me because, again, we talked about it. Ilya's a yearner. Ilya's like, oh, I want to see this Shane guy. Like, let's have a photo shoot together. Back in the hotel gym too, actually, Ilya kind of struck up this conversation about, I'm going to be in Boston. You're going to be in Montreal. They're pretty close. Like they play a lot, right? So Ilya even then is kind of setting it up like, we don't have to be enemies. Like we're around each other.
Right.
So I don't know. It's interesting to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought that was a nice touch. As long as I don't think about reality, like, the mom manager would probably be involved in any kind of like thing that Shane's doing. And you're not just going to show up to a thing and be involved in stuff unless it's like, league based, I guess.
I don't know. I feel like Shane is very disinterested in all of the stuff that we see. His mom's constantly like, hey, what about this? What about this? And he's like, yeah, whatever. Right. So I see him not paying attention to the details of that. Although his mom is not like a huge Ilya fan too. So I could see her kind of being like, oh, I can't believe you have to do a shoot with Ilya Rozanov.
Right. Yeah.
So it does seem a little startling.
Yeah, but it's fine.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the shower, because that's what everybody is really listening for.
Let's get back to the shower.
They're in the shower, and Ilya, let's say, makes his interest to Shane clear.
Yeah, I think he did.
Yes, through methods.
Through methods.
And Shane's like, not here, dude. And they reconvene clothed, and Shane's like, listen, we can just forget this ever happened, because that's much easier for Shane if he can just bury his feelings in the vault.
Yeah. I thought the choice to say not here was pretty interesting.
I thought so too.
Like, he's like, well, maybe somewhere else.
Yeah, because he could just be like, what the fuck are you doing?
Right. Which would be like what you would think if he was like not into it.
Right. So I think just by that very reaction, you can tell that he's like, oh, no, I'm acknowledging there's vibes.
Right.
So no, he gets out. He says that we don't have to acknowledge that this happened. And Ilya's like, are you sure that's what you want? He's like, yes. And Ilya's like, you are a terrible liar, because he can see right through him. So they make plans to connect in Shane's hotel room later, and they do. And we go on to have sort of the first real love scene of the show.
Yeah.
And it is, I really enjoyed, they really kept it true to the book. It's very awkward.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think they captured what I would imagine it to actually be like or go down like with those two characters.
So to speak.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Yeah, no, one of my favorite moments is Shane getting ready, waiting for Ilya and standing like wearing a suit, looking in the mirror. And then he's like, what are you doing? And then he's putting on his regular clothes again.
Like he's getting ready for an interview, but he's not sure how dressed up to be.
Or like he's going to prom.
Yeah, right. Just trying to be cool, but trying not to be like, yeah.
I know. What a little sweetheart. Like just, oh, so cute. Fiddling with the lamp, just trying to be casual. And he is the least casual person that ever existed. So it's not working out super well for him. But Ilya shows up and Shane's like, should we talk? And Ilya's like, nah. But they do talk a little bit, and it becomes clear that Ilya's done stuff with guys before. Shane very definitively has not. They proceed to hook up, and it is over pretty quickly on Shane's half, which is, again, I think pretty normal.
Yeah.
In this situation. Again, they're quite young. They're, 18 years old in this opening scene. And another great detail is that Shane leaves the socks on the whole time, which I read later was a distinct choice by the actor.
Yeah, you pointed that out to me, and I don't think I would have noticed that.
I mean, that's the first thing I'm going to notice is a dude leaving his socks on. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm just like, ew.
Yeah, no, it's super funny, but like he would, right?
He would. He'd be like, no, I don't want to walk on the hotel carpet in my feet. Like, there's so many germs in here. And also he would just be like, but my feet are cold.
It is decidedly not sexy.
It's so unsexy.
Because they're like, basically whitey tighty socks, like crew length, like just pulled up. Like
they fully are. Yeah, they are, out of all of the socks, like probably the least sexy socks.
Yeah.
Not that there's any way socks only during sex could be sexy.
No, probably not.
But if there was a way, this would be the least possible way.
Yep.
So they have their hookup, and then Shane afterwards is like, this can't get out. And Ilya's like, yeah, no, I'm going to tell everyone. And then he realizes Shane's pretty panicky, but he's like, no, absolutely. I would not do that. So kind of reassuring. And then we leave, and then it's on to the hockey season. So we've had our gay awakening now, like officially.
Yeah, it's official. And I would imagine that there were people that were tuned in to this that didn't know what they were getting into. And, like maybe the shower scene didn't quite reveal everything because it was a little subtle. But by this scene,
I don't know if I would call the shower scene subtle. There was a lot of cake in that shower scene. Somebody left the cake out in their brain. Let's just put it that way.
I don't know. I could see just some of you like, that was weird. But by the next scene, be like, oh, I see what this is.
Yeah, there. I think we're probably some people who were like, oh, this is why it's a heated rivalry. I understand now.
Yeah.
Like before they're like, they don't seem that competitive to me. And they're like, oh, okay, that kind of heat. All right. I understand now. So the next time we see them, the season has started and Boston is in Montreal to play a game. Shane's parents are also there from Ottawa to watch because they're very supportive. And Shane's a little late to meet them because he's watching Ilya give a very cocky interview on TV. A reporter says, at the beginning of the season, you said you're going to score 40 goals. Do you still feel that way? And Ilya's like, I never said that. I'm going to score 50 goals. And then he winks at the camera because he's a little sassy bitch.
Yeah.
And we love that.
No, he's one of those like funny, like superstars. It's just like, yeah, I'm the shit. And he does it so well.
Exactly. And Shane says, what an asshole, but is so affectionate.
He does say that a lot in the series, doesn't he?
Listen, to me, in my heart, every time Ilya says, you're so boring to Shane, he's saying, I love you. And every time Shane says, you're an asshole to Ilya, he's saying, I love you.
Yeah, I can see it.
So if you look at it like that, they are fully in love already, partway through the episode, because they call each other boring and asshole quite a lot. After the game, Shane gives a very sort of bland, media-ready interview in French, and Ilya's watching from his hotel room and says out loud, Shane Hollander, how does it feel to be fucking perfect? And so that's kind of another recurring motif you see when they're not in the same room watching each other, they're watching each other on TV. And again, it's this thing where they perceive each other, but they don't really know each other.
Right. They're perceiving them from the outside.
Exactly. You know, to Shane, Ilya's this sort of like cocky guy who's just full of himself and everything. And to Ilya, Shane is this guy who's just perfect and doesn't have anything wrong with him and is like totally cool, calm, and collected. And neither of them knows that like the other one has lots of shit going on too.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And Shane can do the media trained, get pucks on net, just want to win with the team kind of interview. Like I do feel like that actor probably watched a lot of like hockey players do that kind of interview because my God, they do it so much. Some of them are so dry and boring in those interviews. And he just nailed it. I felt like he was a hockey player watching that interview.
And really, Shane, the character, is such like the archetypal version of that hockey player. Like he is the perfect media ready guy who's just been trained down to the wire on how to be and how to react. And it's why he's sort of seen as so sort of perfect and pristine. And I think that's maybe why he's sort of so anxious about the image he presents to the world, because that's just how he's always been. And he's been sort of trained to be that way. Yeah.
And grown up that way, especially being a phenom and being trained that way is certainly like, that's going to breed that kind of anxiety.
Exactly. Whereas Ilya has this kind of bad boy rebel thing, because I don't think his dad really cares how he presents himself to the media as long as he wins.
It does seem that it's mostly just win.
Exactly.
Every single
game. As
game.
long as he wins, do whatever the fuck you want. I couldn't care less.
Right.
But the winning is the only thing that matters. So, and with Ilya, you know, perfection is such a thing where he wants to be perfect because he doesn't want his dad to be disappointed in him. And when he sees Shane being perfect, it's really fucking annoying because
right.
If Shane's perfect, then that's really kind of standing in Ilya's way, because if Shane's perfect, then Ilya's not perfect, you know?
Yeah.
So anyway, we see them again, meet up at the All-Star game, which is Team North America versus Team Europe, which they have actually done as an All-Star game format in the past.
Okay. That's prior to my time, I guess.
That is prior to your time. And I think that that's, again, really just within the universe. It's an opportunity to make it be the Shane and Ilya show.
Right.
You know, to push the media narrative of these are the enemies. So I like that they are really, you can tell Rachel Reed is very invested in hockey. She watches hockey, the author of the books, because she is so good at knowing what the media would do in these situations.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, a lot of it felt natural.
Yes, absolutely. So at the All-Star game, we do get our first little glimpse of Scott Hunter, which is nice. And we'll talk more about him later.
I liked him immediately.
Yeah, no, he's great. They did such a great job casting him. I was just like, oh, hi, Scott.
I was like, who's this guy? Like, I think I asked you if he like was on the team with Shane because he was just immediately so charismatic. And I was like, oh, they must like know each other. They're from the same team. So I was sold the second he showed up.
No, he is great. And he is very different than described in the book, but we'll talk about that a little bit more later. But they could not have done a better job casting him. So Ilya kind of strikes up conversation with Shane from their opposite benches. And Shane's like, okay. But it just turns out Ilya wants to give Shane his room number. And they end up hooking up again at the All-Star game. And this is where they finally exchange phone numbers for the first time. So this is midway into their rookie year. So a good, 2 years after they first met.
Right.
It's been a long time.
They had no way to contact. And this is back in the day where you weren't just like...
You weren't sliding into the DMs.
There were no DMs to slide in. You needed that number.
I've heard this described as a historical romance. And in some ways it truly is. You know, it's only 15 years ago in this universe, but times are very different now than they were then. So,
I mean, they're texting on Blackberries. We rocked Blackberries back in the day.
We absolutely did. And it was crazy. It's crazy how much it's evolved. So yes, they hook up again, and it lasts longer this time. So good job, Shane. Ilya, I think, is a little more forward about what he wants, but then he kind of picks up that Shane is a little bit nervous and backs off a little bit. Mm-hmm. And yeah, they swap numbers and they make plans to meet up again in a few weeks when Ilya's going to be in Montreal. But that's where we have something that I feel like is a little bit of a plot device, which is that weather cancels the trip.
Sure.
I watched a lot of hockey. I've only seen maybe one or two weather delays ever interfere with a game.
Yeah. And between Boston and Montreal, like, they're not that far apart.
It felt pretty preposterous.
Yeah.
But you did get to see sort of how they react to that setback in the moment. Ilya returns home and is surprised by his longtime friend / hookup, Svetlana, who is there, and they hook up. So Ilya's still hooking up, at least with women. Shane, on the other hand, goes home with his teammate Hayden, who is in the books a really good friend to him. And they go eat his weird macrobiotic diet at Hayden's house, and he gets to sort of go do that. So Shane's not going out and hooking up with other people, and Ilya is.
Yeah.
So you kind of are like, okay, they're in different places at least.
They certainly seem to be.
And then finally, at the end of the season, there are the hockey awards that they have.
The generic hockey awards.
The generic hockey awards. There is a Rookie of the Year award. Obviously, Shane and Ilya are nominated along with some third rando. And we're like, who wins? And Shane's coming down the stairs with the award. He has won. And everyone's congratulating him, but he's pretty much just looking everywhere for Ilya. That's all he wants to do is see Ilya. And I think hook up probably, but I think also just see him. And he can't find him anywhere. He's standing by the bar. We see Scott Hunter again. Scott Hunter comes up and he's like, hey, where's your boy? And Shane has kind of a panic moment because he's like, we're not boys. I barely know him. What are you talking about? And then they go do some shots. And then he wanders around until he finds Ilya out on the roof, brooding and smoking, as you do when you're a sexy, Russian bad boy hockey player.
Yeah.
And this is where I think we really start to see the divide and the misunderstanding between them. Ilya is on the roof and he's brooding because his season is over. And that means he's going back to Russia. He's going back to his dad and his brother.
He didn't win the award.
He didn't win the award, so he's probably going to get shit for that. He didn't, win the cup this year. So he's a disappointment. He's a failure. He's going to have to go home and hear all about it. Shane, meanwhile, is like, hey, where's my hookup buddy? I wanted to hook up. Oh, he's out here brooding. Oh, he must be mad that I won the award and he didn't. Well, that's stupid of him. And so he kind of is snippy about it. And Ilya's like, not everything is about you, dude. So they leave on a pretty sour note, especially after Ilya kisses him. And Shane's like, what the fuck? We're in public at an award show. You can't do that because we're not doing this. So that's kind of how the episode ends.
Yeah.
And it has spanned 2 years at this point. So that's the first 2 years of their relationship.
Yeah.
And we've had 2 hookups and they've exchanged phone numbers.
that they're slow rolling it for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, that is a very modest way to get into a relationship.
But there have been a lot of yearning gazes.
Lots of yearning.
Lots of yearning.
Lots
so
of looking.
much yearning.
Probably a lot of them watching each other on television that we don't see.
Lots of that too.
Yep.
So they dropped the first 2 episodes together on the same night. And I'm really glad they did because the first one, although I liked it, it still felt a little slow to start. But the second one, they just drop us right into it and we just get going right away.
Yeah, the first one, if that was just it for me, I don't know if it would have hooked me necessarily.
I mean, I was all in no matter what.
Well, yeah, it would have hooked you regardless. But yeah, for me, I've been like, okay, I guess I'll watch the next one and see what happens. But I would have kind of gone under that pretense. Just like, all right, I'll give it a try again.
The second episode opens and Shane is out for a run in Montreal. Ilya is out for a run in Moscow. I guess we're hand waving the time differences because there's probably time differences, right?
There's generally time zones between places. Yeah,
I would imagine. But anyway, that's fine. That doesn't exist.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought of that. But man, that bothers me.
Yeah, listen, it's narrative schmarative.
Yeah.
They're texting. Ilya's like, hey, are you still mad about how everything ended in the last episode? And Shane's like, nah, man, it's cool. So they're pretty smiley while they're texting. And this is summer of 2011, basically, is the title card for this. And we spend the first part of the episode basically just seeing them text each other multiple times. And this goes from 2011 through fall 2013. So
2 years of texting.
The last episode was 2 years. And then the first couple of minutes of this episode is 2 years.
Yeah.
So the time jumps are time jumping.
Yeah. The texting I thought was going to be cheesy like that with them showing it on the screen and it being like, the bubbles and stuff. And somehow they handled it very well. And I liked it as a narrative device to move things along.
I really did too. I thought they did such a great job with it. And again, part of it comes down to the acting because they did such a great job doing the sort of face reactions alongside the texts.
Yeah, you're getting more than just like, oh, here's some text on a screen.
Yeah, no, I think they really handle it very, very well. So sort of as you see things transpire and unfold, they start texting in the summer of 2011. They play each other in fall of 2011. And Ilya texts Shane and it's kind of like, what's a girl to do in Montreal? Like hinting he wants to hook up. And Shane doesn't respond. Winter of 2012, Ilya asks Shane if he wants to hook up in Boston. Shane is non-committal. Spring of 2012, Ilya's team is in the playoffs and Shane isn't, but they're still texting. Ilya's literally texting from the locker room, which is wild.
That doesn't really vibe with me as something a hockey player would be doing during a playoff game. I feel like his team would be like, bro, put that fucking phone away.
I'm assuming it was after the game, but still.
Yeah.
So Shane's on his couch. Something I thought that was really cute is Ilya's chewing on his necklace and Shane's chewing on his hoodie strings. They do things like that a lot in the show to sort of mirror how they are physically with each other, which is really nice.
Yeah, that is also a detail I did not notice.
Fall of 2012, Shane is in a hotel room, probably in Boston for a game because Ilya texts him his address and a dick pic. And at this point, Ilya pretty explicitly wants to fuck Shane. And Shane is still kind of like, no thanks. Like,
yeah.
He's not saying no thanks, but he's dodging. He's dodging and weeping.
Yeah. He's nervous.
He's nervous. He's not ready. Winter and spring 2013, more sexting. And then fall 2013, it's a new season. They're in Montreal. Ilya is still texting, trying to hit that. Shane is very awkward with sexting. Ilya's teammate teases him because he's blushing and he's like, listen, whatever girl you have in Montreal, you're always blushing. And Ilya is super offended and is like, never in my life have I ever blushed. I'm Russian. We don't do this.
His line delivery was hilarious.
It was so good. He was so offended. He was like a little angry wet kitten about it. But I think it just is very telling that he is so that way in Montreal that like, see, here's the thing. Sorry, I'm interrupting myself mid-thought, but this is important.
Okay.
So in the book, I think they're hooking up on a pretty consistent basis over this time span. In the series, it does not appear that they are. They are just texting.
Oh, okay. So I wouldn't have known that.
Right. I don't believe that they are hooking up on the show.
No, it doesn't seem like it. It didn't read that way to me.
Right. Opinions vary. Rachel Reed, the author, has come out and said that no, they had to change it for the show and they were not hooking up. So I'm going to go with her on this one.
Yeah.
So I don't believe that they were hooking up at all during this time span. I think that they have been texting. I think that there has been flirty banter. I think especially when they're in the same place, Ilya's like trying to hit that. I think maybe they also just text in general. You know, obviously they were texting when Ilya was in the playoffs and Shane wasn't, and they weren't in the same place because Ilya was like, why aren't you in the playoffs right now? Like, I think all of this is to show that they have built up some kind of a relationship of a variety. It might not be like we're in love, we're boyfriends kind of thing, but they have built up a connection. There is a line of communication that they've built up that has stretched over the span of 2 years. I think that's the purpose of all of this.
Yeah, no, I think that's good. And I'm sure everybody that has read the books just has that in the back of their minds that they're banging the whole time and are good with it or something.
Yeah. And well, I mean, it's a big topic of conversation of like, are they hooking up and we're just not seeing it on screen? What's happening? I don't know.
I didn't read it that way, but I think it's fine to think it or not think it. I don't think it matters. They didn't like Hallmark movie it out of like the possibility of existence.
Yeah, regardless of what you want to think, what I think is this shows that for the period of 2 years, they're in pretty constant communication and there are vibes there.
Exactly.
Sexy vibes happening.
That's enough to like move the show along.
Yeah. And some people are like, do you really think Ilya would keep trying to hit that for 2 solid years? Yes, absolutely. I think that he would.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't call that into question I guess. I would have expected them probably to be involved with other people maybe at times and maybe show that.
I know Ilya's involved with other people because we saw him hook up with Svetlana in the last episode.
True.
So it's not like Ilya's like celibate for 2 years.
Right.
So why?
Shane does come across as a celibate type.
I think Shane's hockey sexual at this point. He's hockey sexual and he's Ilya sexual, but he's afraid of his Ilya sexuality. So he's not engaging with it. And that's fine.
Yep.
Ilya is hooking up, but that doesn't mean he's not going to try and hook up with Shane.
Right.
And I think that that's fine too. So fall of 2013 rolls around and they're in Montreal. Ilya's definitely not blushing. He doesn't care what you say. And Shane finally sort of caves and gives him his address. So Ilya comes to Shane's apartment. And this is where we have, I think, it's kind of a big turning point in the show because they have the first sort of penetrative sex scene. So this is kind of the big step for Shane.
This was like a more intimate kind of like this didn't feel like a hookup.
Right, exactly. You know, as much as sort of Ilya has been being sort of raunchy in his come on texts and things and talking about he wants his ass and things, he's very tender with Shane and very, I think, respectful of him and sweet. And it's actually, I think, a really beautifully shot scene. And you really do see that on some level there is care. They take care with each other.
Yeah, for sure.
So they might still not know each other or understand each other, but there is some level of understanding and caring, you know, on some level. And I think it's filmed really beautifully and shot really beautifully. And again, the actors have such crazy good chemistry. Shout out to the intimacy coordinator for this series, by the way.
Oh my God. They had their work cut out for them.
Yep. She did an amazing job for real. And then shout out to the actors who were so open to you know, being so vulnerable with this, because that cannot have been easy to do. People are like, oh God, it's so hot. And it's like, I mean, yeah, it came across that way, but like, God, that's got to be crazy uncomfortable too.
I don't know how people do that because like there's like 40 people just standing in that room or whatever, or you know, that's awkward to try and make that come across like real stuff, I would imagine.
I know. And then obviously like we're all being weirdos and talking about it. So that's not super easy either to deal with, probably.
No, and having seen both those guys like not in character, like that's different. That's not who they are.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. No, it's very different.
I mean, it's not. Ilya's not even Russian.
No, he's not. I know. I kept telling you that he's not, and you were like, okay, I know. But then I showed you the clips. You're like, wow, he's really not Russian.
He's really not.
He's super not Russian. So yeah, they have this great scene. It's very tender. It's very sweet. And they separate. And then that's, I think fall 2013, I said. So then we don't see them connect again until winter of 2014.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go ahead and assume that they stay in touch for a few months. There's texting. They don't immediately fall out after this. But winter of 2014, things start to get really complicated for Ilya. So the Olympics are in Sochi that year, which is in Russia. And Russia is not an easy place to be gay. It's also not an easy place to be Ilya Rozanov.
Yeah, for sure.
On account of his dad and all of that stuff. So this is where we kind of get our first direct reference to the challenges of being gay in Russia. When Shane is at a cafe and he runs into Scott Hunter and Scott's teammate Carter. And Carter references Shane's friend who is a skater and says, oh, I'm assuming he might be gay. And that is really brave of him to do that here because it's so hard being here. You see, that's kind of a light bulb moment for Shane.
Yeah,
he's
there's some awareness that creeps into his brain at that point.
Exactly. Where he's like, oh, okay, well, maybe that's part of the reason why Ilya is always kind of an asshole when he has to go back to Russia. It's because it's super extra hard for him here. So, yeah, you kind of start to see that because I think Shane's a little bit naive and sheltered and doesn't, you know, Shane's got his own issues around his sexuality, but he's not really seeing like, oh, it's also super dangerous.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
For Ilya. So they go and watch Shane's friend skate. And then Shane, of course, sees Ilya across this giant arena because
you can totally scope them out without binoculars.
Well, it's the yearning. It's like a yearning beacon.
Yeah, a yearning beacon.
They just yearn. They have a yearning beacon attached to each other.
Yep.
So he hones in on Ilya and he really does just go to sort of check on him. But Ilya is like in just shut down, I'm in Russia mode and doesn't want to hear it and doesn't want anything to do with it and pretty much chases Shane away. And Shane is pretty hurt and is like, well, fuck, and stomps off. And then we get, which I think is a really cool thing, just extended scenes fully in Russian.
Yeah.
Because Ilya's in Russia and he talks with his dad. We find out a lot more about sort of the difficulties of his personal life. We see him interact with Svetlana again and with Sasha, who is sort of his former hookup. We see him turn down Sasha, his former hookup, which is interesting because while we've seen him hook up with a girl, he's not hooking up with a guy.
Yeah, for sure. I was like, go Ilya when he said no.
Yeah, you were prepared to like throw hands.
I was like, oh, damn it, he's going to do it, isn't he?
You're going to throw hands on behalf of Shane if he hooked up with another guy.
I was getting protective at that point.
Yes, you definitely were. So, and yeah, just again, huge props to Connor Story, who plays Ilya he had 3 weeks to learn all of that Russian for this role and crushed it from what I can tell. And I've read a bunch of native Russian speakers online saying his accent is fantastic. His pronunciation, both in Russian and then his Russian accent when he speaks English is crazy good too.
Yeah, I can't even imagine nailing that. And yeah, shout out to the program. God, I sound old. Shout out to the show for actually having it in Russian too, because I feel like, that's something they just like, oh, they'll just talk in English because it's too hard. But like people speak different languages in different countries.
Yes, it definitely in the past would have just been a bunch of people speaking in like really bad fake Russian accents.
Right.
And so, no, shout out to them for making that effort and putting it in. Great work.
I do think Ilya's father crushed it as well when he was adjusting his tie and said the mother thing about which kind of indicated he might have some sort of dementia type thing going on. That dude sold that scene so hard.
Yes, he's very sort of proud and doesn't want to admit he has anything going on. But when Ilya kind of corrects him and is like, mom's dead, you do see that sort of creeping vulnerability in his eyes. And then you see it with Ilya too, where he's like realizing like, okay, my dad, who's like a fucking asshole, is also falling apart. And like, that sucks.
Yeah.
So it's a lot. It's a lot to process. So Ilya's going through it. And I think a lot of people after this episode are like, Ilya's such an asshole. He's so mean to Shane. Shane's a little baby. Ilya's such a mean jerk. And it's like, Ilya's going through some shit, you guys. Like, you guys need to calm down.
Yeah, for sure.
So also they're babies. They're both babies. So anyway, I can say that because I'm old. So we also see that Shane texts Ilya while right after Ilya has turned Sasha down. He's like, hey, how are you? So again, he's still concerned about Ilya and is checking in on him. And now Ilya's the one who's not responding and blowing him off.
Right.
So Shane's like, sex, no thanks. Ilya's like, feelings, not today. So they both will kind of take turns blowing each other off when it comes to things like this. Spring of 2014 comes. Ilya wins the cup. Shane is watching him win the cup with his teammates, and his teammates make a reference to Shane hating Ilya. And he's like, oh, yeah, I totally hate that guy. Again, the rivalry is manufactured. There is no rivalry. Like, everybody thinks they hate each other, and they really don't. But that's part of the complication is like, they can't even be friends with each other publicly.
Right. Yeah, no, exactly. Right. Like everybody wants them to like be at each other's throats kind of thing.
Exactly. It's this whole manufactured rivalry. So they can't even like show each other any kind of grace in public whatsoever.
Yeah. I will say that scene too, when he held up the cup, took me right out of it because that cup sucked.
It was one of the worst trophies I've ever seen in my life. It was very like 70s.
Yeah, like 70s, like middle school trophy, like not even a high school. Like that shit was whack.
It was like something out of like a Kiwanis club. It was not. No, it was not the thing.
It was brutal.
But what was really good about that scene was Shane watching it on TV because he's with all of his friends and his friends are kind of like, okay, they won the cup and they're milling off and Shane's sitting on the couch by himself and he's a little teary and you can tell part of him's kind of proud and happy for Ilya, but he can't communicate that in any way or to anybody because they're supposed to hate each other.
Mm-hmm.
And he can't even communicate it to Ilya because as we go to find out, Ilya's not taking his texts or responding to him. Because fast forward to summer and we're back to the generic hockey awards in Vegas. And the two of them are supposed to present an award together. Shane's freaking out backstage because Ilya doesn't show up until the last possible second. And they get up on stage together and they do just excruciating banter, scripted banter that is like exactly on the nose for the kind of stuff they would make you do.
That just like what the media would want them to do, but also just like poorly written. And then they're like in their hockey player acting mode. Like they just, yeah.
The two of them, Connor Story and Hudson Williams, are such good actors because they're so good at acting like they're acting badly.
Yeah.
It's like they're so great. Like they're acting in character as bad actors. Like it's wonderful to watch. But you do also get this beautiful subtle touch of they go to take a selfie and Ilya puts his hand on the back of Shane's neck and then runs it down his back. And it's like the first time they've touched in probably months or a year. I don't know. It's been a long ass time.
Mm-hmm.
So they end up running into each other in a bathroom backstage, and Ilya's like, hey, what's up? And Shane's like, don't what's up me, bitch. Like he's really unhappy that Ilya has been blowing him off, rightfully so.
Yeah.
And again, he doesn't know why Ilya's been blowing him off. He doesn't understand that Ilya's got all of the shit going on. All he knows is that Ilya's just been blowing him off. And Ilya just kind of wants to, I think, bury all of his feelings with some great hooking up.
That seems like his modus operandi.
Yeah, I think so.
He's like, all right, well, now we're here together. Let's just hook up.
Yeah, he's like, let's fuck those feelings away.
Right.
Which, I went through a period in my 20s where, I'm not saying I didn't do that. Like, it's a valid response sometimes. And again, these are people in their 20s who are emotionally stunted. So of course that's going to happen.
Absolutely.
So they end up meeting up in Ilya's penthouse. And this is where we have a hookup that really deviates from the earlier hookups. We had sort of the sweet, awkward hookups. And then we had the very like sweet, tender, penetrative sex hookup. Now we're having the like super hot, dominating, I'm watching you from a chair, bossing you around hookup. And again, it's like super hot to watch, but sometimes super hot sex can make you feel like shit afterwards, as we see happens to Shane.
Yeah, right. He seemed into it, and then it didn't kind of end the way he was hoping, I guess.
Yeah, because they're laying in bed afterwards, and then Ilya's kind of like, all right, you got to hit the road, and he leaves, and he's in the elevator, and that's when we see the return of the texting, that we had seen sort of earlier in the episode. And we see the text bubbles popping up, and he's trying to compose a message, and he ends up with, we didn't even kiss, and then erases it. And then the episode ends and we're all heartbroken.
Cliffhanger.
Yep.
And seeing it deleted was cool.
It made me so sad.
Right? Yeah.
But yeah, and it's just like, and again, now I kind of understand why people are like mad at Ilya. Like I get it, but like, Shane's a whoopee. I understand. You don't want to hurt his feelings, especially after the acting he did in the bathroom scene where his eyes were so wet and he was like, your English is so good. And it's just like, there were feelings and all of this kind of stuff. But like, again, Ilya's going through so much. Just because Shane doesn't see it, it doesn't mean it's not happening.
Yeah, for sure.
So does that make it okay? No, not necessarily. But like, again, we have to remember, like, people are complicated.
People are complicated and things don't always just go happy immediately. Sometimes it takes some time.
Also, and if they did, it would be a super boring TV show.
Oh, right.
If it was just like every episode was happy all the time, right?
Right. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Got to go through some stuff to get to the happy.
Yeah. You need the angst, and then you got to earn that happy ending. Oh, okay. Didn't mean it that way, but that's fine. We can leave that in.
Okay.
So we're all excited to see what happens with Shane and Ilya next, but we're going to need to take a little hiatus from them because the next episode is going to be a departure. Episode 3 is called Hunter, and this one does not focus on Shane and Ilya. This one focuses on the aforementioned Scott Hunter, who we talked about before.
And I did a little dance. I was like, oh, good. I get to know more about this guy.
Yes, exactly. So I said earlier that Scott Hunter does not look how he was described in the books. In the books, he was blonde and blue-eyed. It's because Game Changers started out as a Captain America fan fiction.
Oh, well, that's interesting.
It is. And then it got turned into a, traditional romance book, which happens a lot with books. Kind of like how Twilight was 50 Shades of Grey was a Twilight fan fiction first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So only Game Changers really good. So
right.
So that's something.
And did you say this was the first book in the series?
This is the first book in the series.
Okay, gotcha.
So Scott Hunter, different place in his career than Shane and Ilya. He has been in hockey much longer. He's more established. He also is very accepting about the fact that he's gay, and he's accepting about the fact that he doesn't want to come out. He has been hiding it for a long time. Like, he knew when he was young. In the books, he hooks up with people in the off season. He goes to places where hockey is not a big thing and he won't be recognized.
Oh, I was wondering about that.
Yeah. So that's his life. He's very much like, all right, I'm just going to be gay in the summer.
Gay when I can be.
Yep. Part-time gay. And that's working for him, kind of. And then in this season, which starts in 2014, he's really having a hard time. He's in a big slump. The season's underway. He hasn't scored yet. He's out for a run. He stops for a smoothie and he meets the adorable smoothie maker, Kip. He orders a blueberry smoothie and Kip makes him the worst smoothie I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it looks just nasty.
It looks like sewage. It looks disgusting.
Kip is not a good smoothie maker.
It looks horrific. I'm not the first person to say this, but it cannot be overstated.
It's a travesty against smoothies.
Scott doesn't care. Scott's like, look at this little cutie. And he drinks the smoothie and he goes on to score a hat trick that night, while Kip and his friends watch, because Kip didn't even know who he was until he left. And then a guy was like, was that Scott Hunter?
Yeah. And there was like the flirting was so subtle, but it was so clear from the acting.
Exactly. It was like that kind of thing where it was like plausible deniability, but like the vibes just vibed from the get-go.
Yeah.
I don't know. This episode made me really happy. Like, just from the opening scene, like I was just like, look at these little cuties.
Yeah. Well, I enjoyed the hell out of this episode.
This was your favorite episode.
This is honestly my favorite episode. I mean, I get that it's maybe standalone and like it's obviously not following everything, but that Scott Hunter character and that actor, I just wanted more, and they gave me like a ton.
It was, I don't know. They just, once again, they nailed it with the casting because the two actors had such great chemistry. And it's a completely different chemistry than the Ilya Shane, like tortured, angsty chemistry. This is just two adorable people being adorable and in love.
Yeah.
Pretty much instant. Some people online are like, it's unrealistic how fast they fell in love. You and I moved in together 2 weeks after we started dating.
And we've been together 21 years?
21 years.
Yeah.
So keep in mind, we do not recommend this to people.
No.
It was very stupid.
Terrible idea.
We're very fortunate that it worked out.
But things can work out like that.
Yes. We were idiots, but it can work out. So that's fine.
So yeah, I don't have any problem suspending disbelief because of personal circumstances.
Yeah. No, if you want to move in together after the second date, like honestly valid.
Yeah.
I guess.
We're not here to judge that.
Yeah, no worries. So I guess I should say, really, this episode opens in Sochi at the Olympics.
Oh, right. Scott's sitting at that same table.
We have that same conversation about how difficult it is to be gay in Russia. And this time, instead of the camera cutting to Shane, it cuts to Scott. And then we see 4 months earlier. And that's when Scott meets Kip. And he has this flirty banter with Kip and he leaves. And we get to meet Kip's amazing coworker, Maria, who does not have a lot of screen time and a lot of lines, but does the most with what she has, which is her inflection of the word girl.
She acts the hell out of the word girl. Like, I just want more of her saying girl.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
She just, every single time she says it, she delivers it in a different way. And it's so impactful.
Yeah, it's funny as hell.
It's so funny and it's so good. So we do see right away that Kip has a great little support group. He's got his friend Maria, who he works with. He's got his friend Sean. They hang out at a bar called the Kingfisher, where they have their regular bartender, Kyle. He also has his friend Elena, who is sort of more upscale and works in like a fancy corporate job. And then he has his dad, who is like a super great supportive guy who is just like his biggest fan.
I love his dad. His dad is so funny.
His dad is so funny and so cute.
Yeah, he seems like a real trip to be around in person.
He seems like the kind of guy who will call you champ,
right?
Ruffle your hair.
Yeah, but like just like genuine with it too.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
No, it's great. So Kip is in his mid-20s. He's living with his dad. He's applying to grad school. He works in a smoothie shop during the day. He's picking up waiting tables gigs to save up money. He's got student loans. He's not in, the professional hockey league place at all.
No, he's a normal person.
He's a very normal person with the hottest body you've ever seen.
Who works out nonstop.
Who is just, he might be one of those people who, when he's stressed, he goes to the gym because he is just ripped.
Yeah, no, he's got a personal trainer somehow that's maybe a friend that doesn't charge him money because, that dude is in shape.
Absolutely. So Scott drinks the smoothie. He has a hat trick. He comes back for another smoothie because hockey players love their rituals and their routines. Or so he says. I think he also just wants to see Kip again.
Well,
yeah. So he starts going and getting smoothies from Kip. And then he and Kip run into each other a few other times. They end up going out for dinner, but then there's a long line at the restaurant, which conveniently leads to them ending up back at Scott's apartment, which ends up with them in bed, as you do when you're two hot people.
Yeah. No, that all checked out.
That all checked out.
Yeah, it was going to happen anyway, and there was a long line, so just get to it.
Exactly.
Right.
In the morning, Kip is making Scott a smoothie, and they have a really, I think, refreshingly frank conversation. This is very much the antithesis of the Shane and Ilya. We lock our feelings away and we don't talk about them or have conversations ever. Scott's like, I'm going to say a bunch of stuff and it's going to be real weird. So just bear with me for a second. And he's just like, I like you a lot. I know I'm super intense. I can't be out right now, but I really, really like you. And I just want to spend all of the time with you. Basically, just move in with me. And Kip's like, all right, let's see where it goes.
Yeah. I really loved that scene. I loved his acting during that scene. It didn't seem weird the way he was able to deliver it. I completely bought it. And, people do that kind of stuff. So
that scene, the way he delivered it, like that speech could have honestly come off creepy from somebody else, but like the way he said it, it was just so believable and earnest. And I was just like, I will also move in with you, Scott Hunter.
I was ready to. I was like, well, I already liked him. And then you get like that kind of vulnerability and just like him expressing his feelings. And it was great.
And it was super great. And I loved it. And then we see them have a really nice, happy, cozy relationship for a while. And they're super into each other and they really like each other. But as that's happening, you're seeing that Kip is getting pulled away from the rest of his life. His friends don't see him as much anymore. He's never home with his dad. And it really starts to take a toll on him. And Scott's life is better because I think Scott's life is very lonely for the most part.
Yeah, seems like it.
And Scott realizes what he's asking of Kip is unfair, but I think, and he does try to make some compromises, like they go to an art gallery to try to pick out some art, but then Scott has a full-on panic attack and cannot handle it.
I mean, he showed up looking so sketchy too.
Yeah, he's just like, I really want to blend in, so let me look like the sketchiest human being that ever lived. So, this episode, I feel like we don't need to go as in depth into it because it's so sort of straightforward, really.
Yeah, no, I felt like this was almost like a kind of predictable kind of storyline that I feel like I've probably seen before where, somebody in power or somebody likes somebody but can't, expose who they are, and it ends up just not working out because of that. And you're bummed, but that's just how the cards are dealt this time.
Exactly. I liked that nobody was the villain in this story. There are valid reasons for Scott to be afraid of coming out. Nobody has come out in the hockey league in this universe, much like our universe.
Right.
And I understand, Kip was really trying to be with him and it was fine until it wasn't. I think it was important that we saw a different kind of relationship than Shane and Ilya's, where it was so sort of open with each other, even if they were still hidden from the world, like they weren't hidden from each other, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, they were certainly like emotionally involved in each other, like right off the get-go, but they also seem to understand each other that way.
Exactly. It also, I think, is really important narratively because in the universe of the books...
Spoiler?
Spoiler alert. Scott Hunter is going to be the first person to come out in the world of hockey.
Gotcha.
So Shane and Ilya aren't going to have anybody who can like inspire them to be able to have that kind of openness. if there is no Scott Hunter. So some people are like, well, no, they could still have Scott Hunter come out and not like waste a whole episode on him. But I don't think that's true. I think you need the whole episode of Scott Hunter to really see his story, his journey, his struggle. I think you need to see the relationship with him and Kip and how beautiful and sweet it is. I think you need all of it. I think it's important.
I certainly needed it. I thought it was great.
I thought so too.
I'm ready for just the whole Scott Hunter spinoff, honestly.
Absolutely. I actually picked up that book again and started reading it last night.
Wow.
So, because I was just so into it.
Yeah.
So I'm happy with it. I understand people are just like, I just want Shane and Ilya and nothing else.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's fine. I mean, I get it. Like, put those two in my veins too. Like, just inject it directly into me. But like, that doesn't mean I can't enjoy more queer love. Like, the more queer love, the better, as far as I'm concerned.
No, it showed a different side, and yeah, shoot. I just thought it was great. Even if it is kind of like a standalone episode or whatever it turns out to be, I'm glad I saw it. So
I think that's all that matters, and I think that's something where I'm seeing a lot of non-book readers who were like, hell yes, we loved this. And it's more book readers who are kind of like, because that was like the least popular book in the series for whatever reason.
Gotcha.
And so the book readers are just like, no, the time, like people are literally like counting the minutes of what's left in the remaining episodes. And
sure.
But these are the plot points and this is how many minutes are left in the series. And I'm sorry, they've just been handling things really well so far. And I'm just trusting in the process. Honestly, I am. So they haven't let me down yet. They really haven't. So you know what? I'm just here for the ride.
You're here for the ride. Yeah.
I'm here for the ride. So
I love it.
How are you feeling about the show?
I'm feeling good. I really feel like that third episode like got me more invested, honestly.
That's awesome.
I'm just like, no, okay, let's get back to them and let's see what's going on. Because I've seen how well things are being or can be handled and like how good the acting is and like how funny it can be. I've already seen, some of the devastatingness. Devastation? There's a good word. So yeah, no, that one really kind of clinched like the excitement for me of like the next episode, which is what, this week or something?
It'll release like midnight Thursday, so we can watch it Friday. I'll be watching it like Friday morning at 7 a.m. after our kid goes to school. So.
Yeah.
But we'll watch it again later in the day. That's fine.
Sure. I don't know. I feel like the next episode is going to be really good.
Yes.
I feel like they've set us up for like a great episode. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be the episode, but I feel like we're in a spot now where they can really just kind of like not have to do any exposition and just kind of like do the thing or something.
Well, yeah. At this point, we're now 6 years into the timeline.
Right. Something's got to...
6 years into the 10-year timeline.
Right.
So we're going to reach sort of turning points now and things are going to start to happen.
Right.
So I'm excited to see what happens next. It's been a long time since I've read the book, so I don't have quite that meticulous attention to detail that a lot of the other readers do. So I don't know sort of beat for beat what's coming. But again, I trust the process. I want to see what happens next. I'm excited for it. I am really kind of bummed that they didn't drop it all at once. But
I know. This whole like binge culture has just ruined us, right?
I know. But I guess on the other hand, it's good because I have something to look forward to.
Yeah.
To get me through these winter months.
Especially if it's only 6 episodes. Like you would have finished that in a day.
Oh, 100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's fine. That just gives me more time to rewatch the episodes multiple times and pick up on more nuances. And that's fine. And that's normal. And that's cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you for watching this with me. I know it's not your usual thing, but I'm glad that you've liked it and have found some enjoyment in it. And I can't wait to keep watching it with you.
Well, thanks. Yeah, no, it's better than I was expecting. And I'm surprised that I am still along for the ride because, yeah, scripted television and me, it's tough, especially if it's not like a half an hour show.
Yeah. So. Well, maybe we will talk about this again on a future bonus episode. And for now, that's going to be the end of regulation for this bonus episode of Ice is Slippery. You can find us on Tumblr, Blue Sky, TikTok, and Instagram at Ice is Slippery Pod. You can also email us at iceisslipperypod@gmail.com, where we would love to get suggestions for games and hear your hockey hot takes. Until next time, stay out of the penalty box.